Here we go. It is our episode 6 recap of season 7 of Game of Thrones. It was entitled Beyond the Wall. Ryan Davies unavailable, so Nicole is filling in once again. She did such a great job that we're bringing her back. Hello, Nicole.
Hey. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. What did you think? Well, let me start out with this. Very polarizing episode. A lot of people are very upset with the whole timeline thing, so much so that the director of the episode had to come out, kind of defend himself a little bit. But it seems like for a show where people are all in on dragons, they're all in on zombies, they're all in on, children, assassins, they're all in on whatever. If you start messing around with the timeline and how far it is to get from place to place, that's what seems to piss people off the most.
Well, I think I've had a problem with the timeline since the beginning, and I've basically had to make a decision that it's just not going to bother me, or else I think it would drive you absolutely crazy. I think that the show did such a good job, I would say, in the first 4 seasons of it's slow, it's methodical. When a character makes a decision, you understand it. More so, I think, than in this season. And I think that because we're no longer in the books, we now have a situation where they have the ending, or they know what sort of the bullet points that the R.R. Martin was trying to get to, and they've got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they just didn't give themselves more episodes.
It's weird. I don't know if it's a money thing, because this season, more than any other, it's like they have portals, and like that's what everybody's saying is like you just go like, oh, I'm in Winterfell and now I want to go to King's Landing, boom, I'm there. Or I want to go to Dragonstone, I'm there. Like Tyrion went from Dragonstone to King's Landing in like 30 seconds of like screen time. It was like, oh, this is where I'm going to go. And then he was there. So they've been sort of setting this up. Like all season long, the world has sort of shrunk. And then this episode was maybe the most glaring, where they're north of the wall. They send Gendry back. He has to go back to the wall. And then they're going to send a raven down to Dragonstone. And then Daenerys is going to get on a dragon and fly north of the wall. And that happens in clearly just a little over a day, because those guys, I think, only spent one night huddled up in that little island area.
Well, so we only saw them spend one night. I mean, who knows how long they really spent? I mean, that's part of the problem, right? Like, where Daenerys is in Dragonstone is down by King's Landing. Let's go. That is a long way to go for a raven, for a dragon, for a ship. Like I don't know.
It's a fast raven. It's a very fast raven. So here are 3 ways that I thought of that you could have had less questions. And I don't know if one of them is possible. Could the guys, the Magnificent Seven, as Davey and I are calling them, the guys that went across the wall, could they have brought their own raven? Is that possible?
No, because I think only the Maesters have raven.
Okay,
the Maesters,
fine.
Right?
Cross that one off.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Or what you have them do is you have them run into a little bit of trouble early on and immediately send Gendry for help, and then they don't get into like the big time trouble until later, where they're on the thing. But at this point, Gendry's already gone by the time they're huddled up on that ice block. You could have done that, or this would have been the biggest possible choice: is have Daenerys just decide, you know what, I better go look at this stuff for myself. I had a connection there. I had a bond with Jon Snow. I know what he's trying to do. I'm not going to sit here. I know how dangerous it can be if he's telling the truth, and I'm just going to go do this on my own.
Right. Or I think the third one's the best possibility, or they could have just stretched this out, shown them walking, shown them on that island for a day or two. It wouldn't have been long. Like they could have done some, I don't know, just shown us that the sun rose and set like a few more times.
Yeah, because that was one thing they actually did do, was for the first time, rather than just traveling and being there, they showed the guys walking out and having conversations. Like there was a great one between the Hound and Tormund about Brienne. There was other ones with Thoros or Jon Snow and Jorah had like a good back and forth. So that was actually a throwback to previous seasons where they were kind of taking their time, and then all of a sudden things really sped up.
Well, exactly. And I think that's what the show does so well. And I think that if, I hate to criticize it, but if it's one thing that's been missing, it's been those conversations, right? Yeah. It's, oh, I know you because your father was here, or we knew each other from this battle. Like it makes you much more connected to the characters when they run into trouble. And they do battle scenes really well.
Oh, yeah. They do.
Yeah, this one was, I found this episode just a little bit confusing in general. Like I never knew who was dying, and then it was all these random people that were wild.
Well, so that was a little, that was a little misleading where it's like, we're going to go north and we're going to get a White Walker. And then all of a sudden you're counting them up and you're like, wait a minute, they have like 3 or 4 random wildlings clearly just so they can die. And it not be like just so a bear, like a undead bear can kill them. But then we did get a real death though. This was another episode where we had one legit, well, we had the worst death ever, which we'll get to, but we had one human death, which was bad, which was Thoros of Myr. Yes. And that one, well, as I was watching, I'm like, well, this one makes sense because if you don't kill him, the other guys maybe, especially Beric, he can bring him right back.
Right, he can.
And so now it's legit.
Right, or maybe he could bring Jon Snow back. Who knows?
Yeah, right. He could. So he's already been back. Oh, by the way, I think Beric Dondarrion has moved up to number 2 or 3 on my favorite characters list because of the sword that's on fire.
Oh, because he could just light it on
fire. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Well, and he's died 6 times. You know, that too.
Yeah.
So he's been really good. What do you think about Tyrion's advice to Daenerys to, like, just do nothing?
I don't know. I don't know what to make of him this season. I'm worried. Like, after this episode, I'm worried about him. Every single thing, every decision that he has made this season has not been great. And everything he's told her to do, she's not done, or when she's followed him, it hasn't ended well. Like, right, the whole Casterly Rock.
No,
right?
And she pointed that out to him too. She was like, she mentioned Dorne and and Casterly Rock. Like, it just it's not gone well for him.
No, so I'm a little bit worried about him and his status as a hand for the next episode because I mean, he told her not to go and she went, and that turned out well, although she lost a dragon, but she had to see him for herself. And it seems like his advice has just been poor. And I don't know why. I mean, it seems sort of a departure from when he was a hand in previous seasons where he was
He's like really smart.
Really smart. And so I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, it's not great. Although it's mixed because there'd be an extra dragon, but then again, Jon Snow and all of them would be dead if she didn't go. So so Tyrion, it's not like he's 100% wrong, but he was, I guess, wrong there. Now, they also mentioned several...
Sorry. This whole thing was his idea. The stupidest idea in the world, going north of the wall to capture a white, was Tyrion's idea. To try to convince Cersei so they didn't have to attack King's Landing, so that they could bring her into the fold.
Do you think he's on Cersei's side? Any chance?
Tyrion?
Yeah.
No, but I think he's more conflicted than he thinks he is because of Jaime and the fact that it's his family.
Yeah, I think so. So they mentioned that a few times. Well, you're on the Lannister side. And he's like, well, in this case, I am. Now, one of the big themes throughout the episode was that Daenerys can't have kids. Like, she said that like a bunch of times. She's like, the dragons are my kids. We're like, yeah, we got it.
We understand that.
So now, I guess 2 questions. 1, do you think she'll actually have a kid? And 2, if you were to answer Tyrion's question right now, like if they were going to present her as the queen and she happened to die, who would then be the next in charge?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe Jon Snow, if he ever figures out his true lineage. I mean, out of her crew, maybe Tyrion. I don't know. I mean,
I wonder if how Daario Naharis is doing, because if he's leading wherever that he was left back, Marine or wherever the hell he was,
I think a Marine. Right?
If he's doing a good job, then maybe it'd be him. And I can't wait for him to meet Jon Snow and he's going to make some joke about how he's small and how he could kill him, and it'd be great.
Do you think we're going to see him again?
Yeah. Not this season, not next week, but I think next season we have to. You can't just have a sweet character like that and then just have him disappear off the face of the earth without dying.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, he's never been to Westeros. It would be.
But they're going to need. So now that they've lost the dragon, they've lost a bunch of battles. They need all the help they can get, and he's the most skilled fighter, I think, in the show. So they need him back.
Technically, isn't that still part of her kingdom, Marine?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so I mean, he's around. It's just they haven't had time to show him at all.
Right. Wait, you asked me something before this too. This was a 2-parter.
Do you think she'll have a kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that necessarily until this episode, and they hit you over the head.
Oh my God, like her and Jon Snow, and we get it. Now, are we supposed to be rooting for aunt-nephew sex?
I'm rooting for it at this point. So when I did the last review with you or whatever, I was like, no, because I just didn't like the idea of the 2 of them together.
No.
but they have so much on-screen chemistry. Like for the two actors that are kind of weak actors by the series standards, when they get in a scene together, I'm like, oh yeah, we just two bang and get it over with. And then I remember that they're aunt and nephew.
What would you think about a Brienne, Hound, Tormund three-way?
No, I don't. No.
If they showed like full penetration for like one time only.
No.
No.
But I'm rooting for Brienne Tormund maybe get together. But I think she's still in love with Jaime Lannister, and she's headed to King's Landing this week. So Tormund stayed at Eastwatch, so we've got some difficulties with your threesome.
Yes, no, I suppose that's foursome. I don't know. Make it whatever you want. Maybe. Now, worst thing that's ever happened in the history of the show. I would argue this was the worst moment in 7 seasons that I've been watching Game of Thrones, and there are a lot of jarring scenes, like whether it's Ned Stark dying or Sansa's wedding night or whatever. I thought this is the worst thing that's ever happened. And I knew it. Yes, this was my fear going in. We did a season preview, and I said my biggest fear is a dragon death. And then they showed the big dragon, like bow and arrow thing, and I'm like, oh my god, that's going to kill one of them. It didn't, and it barely even injured him. By the way, he's fine.
And I think they only had one, which is stupid. But go ahead. But
when the goddamn Night King like pulled that spear out and just started walking towards it, I was like, no. And then he throws a goddamn javelin like 1,000 yards,
like a missile,
like a fucking missile, kills him, sinks him into the ground, and it was just like. That was devastating because the dragons have become my 3 favorite characters.
That was it was gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. And the way they filmed it, the way you see his head and it just slides down into the water is insane.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And then they turn him, and what a cool scene that was. It's kind of predictable. You could see like what was happening, and you knew what it was going to be. But it was a cool reveal at the end. My question is, will anybody, and I guess the only person that it would be Samwell Tarly, are they going to figure out how to turn White Walkers or White Dragons back into what they were?
No, I don't think so.
Damn it. Probably not. Shit.
No. I mean...
That'd be kind of neat, though.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, but it's a white... What's the difference between a White Walker dragon and just a plain white dragon?
I don't know.
So, like the dead that are walking, they're just like whites or they're...
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out. That's what I was watching with your sister, and she's just like, how come some of them are like smart and some of them are? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Do you remember back to what Harrenhal is, or the where Jon Snow first encounters the White Walkers and the Night King, and they have that big battle when he's rescuing the wildlings?
Yes, yeah.
And they go down, right? And all of a sudden you see the Night King raise his hands, and they all just kind of like stand up and turn into these like zombie undeads that move fast. And they're lethal, as opposed to when we saw back at Craster's.
Yes, Craster's Keep. Yeah,
right. Where they sacrifice the child and he touches them, and the child's eyes turn blue. I don't know why there's a difference, but there's a difference. And
yeah, because there's something there. Obviously, like when they killed that one and all the other ones around it died. Like there's something going on. So if they kill the Night King, it won't be all of them, but it'll be most of them. So that's probably.
It may be all of them, because if the Night King turned every other White Walker, I don't know. It would be helpful.
But he definitely turned the dragon, so that's going to be the guy they want to target. But they probably don't. I don't know if they know that. Actually, no, they do know that. They made a comment about that.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll identify him. Although I feel like he's going to be hard to kill. Do you think the White Walker stuff goes into season 8, or do you think they wrap it up next week?
I think it goes into season 8. I don't think they have enough time to wrap it up next week, particularly if we're all the way down in King's Landing. But then again, who knows with the time warping.
Yeah, you just snap your fingers and you can be wherever you want.
I know. But no, I think it goes in. My hope is that it ends early next season.
Yeah. It should be the last thing.
No.
What do you think of Benjen Stark? As he's had a couple of moments in the series where he has really come through, and he's an interesting character too. Whereas he is kind of not all the way White Walker, but kind of White Walker. Wasn't the Children of the Forest kind of saved him?
Right. And are the Children of the Forest dead now, or
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if they died in the tree and it was the last of them, with Bran, or if there's more lurking out there. But you think they could have helped if they were around?
Yeah. Right.
So what do I think of Benjen? I think it was convenient that he came along.
I know. I know, but there's got to be like a something going on because like he saved Bran right at the right time, or he saved Jon Snow right at the right time. So he's got to have some sort of like sensitivity or something.
Yeah, maybe, and he's done. I think he's dead, right?
I would say, yeah, he looked like he was pretty dead. Although we thought Jon Snow was dead several times, and he's found a way to come back.
Right, and he apparently learned how to hold his breath underwater for a really long time.
Yep, and he got out of there, and then he's now on the boat, and he's making eyes with Daenerys.
He is.
And so I know you're excited about that. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm a little conflicted, but I can't care. Like if they're going to end up together, then I think we just have to get over it.
Is their relationship, was it sped up too much like everything else? Because I feel like they're now all of a sudden like in love with each other without saying it. And they probably talked like 3 times.
So that's the only thing I didn't feel that was necessarily that sped up. And maybe it's because I feel like those 2 characters really do have a lot of on-screen chemistry. Like last episode, every time she looked at him, I felt like she just wanted to mount him. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, you guys need to figure this out. Hopefully sooner than later. And so no, I mean, I have all the complaints with the sped up time and sort of the holes in the story that I wish they would have taken more time to do. That's not one of them for me.
All right, and then that was most of the episode was everything going on there. The dragon scene, which was crazy. They come in, they're just blowing White Walkers away. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Crazy scene, and they did a good job of kind of building it up, and it seemed like really dragging out all those guys, like the Hound and Jorah and Beric, all just like trying to stay alive as long as possible. Tormund almost died. Hound saves him. Thoros actually saved the Hound earlier when they were fighting the bear. Like there's a lot of good moments with that group. It's sort of showing how badass they are.
And that was one of the things the episode did really well was like by the time they were on that island together, you felt like they all had a connection. They had like, how long do you think they spent walking? That's the thing. I don't know.
Close to a day. I mean, it seemed like forever, although Gendry was able to run back and collapse and then send the Raven. I'm going off of the premise that they like saved up like a super fast Raven who's like the fastest Raven ever. Now, but the other huge part of this episode was the relationship between Arya and Sansa, which really they kicked that thing up a notch. Where Arya is terrifying now, and she is my favorite character. She's my favorite human character,
right?
And just the stuff she was telling Sansa after Sansa finds all her faces and stuff like that was a great scene. That was one of the best scenes of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, I think that when you actually have like 2 characters talking to each other and have a lot of dialogue, it's fantastic. I mean, I think you really saw sort of the what these 2 girls have been through, these 2 sisters have been through, like finally kind of catch up to them. And Sansa's realization that like Arya is really deadly. Like she is.
She's no joke.
No, she's like a sociopath, maybe a little bit. And
like one of the greatest back and forths was when Sansa, and she might even be right. She's like, you wouldn't have been able to survive what I survived, and Arya's just like, I guess we'll never know.
Right, I guess we will, right? And I can, or when she said, I can imagine a lot of things or something. Like that. I was like, you're like, oh wow, okay. I loved it. I think that Arya has some sort of plan. I don't believe like when she turned the dagger over and handed it to Sansa, I think that was her kind of being like, this is who I am, and like I can tell you're conflicted about the things you want, and you need to remember that you are a Stark.
I think it was also and like you're gonna need this, and like not necessarily from me, but like there's a lot of shit going on. What did you think of Sansa's decision to send Brienne away?
I can't figure that out. I mean, part of me was wondering is if she wants Brienne out of there so that like they can deal with Littlefinger, or if she wants Brienne out of there because she thinks that Brienne is more loyal to Arya, and if she has to do something to Arya, she doesn't want her around.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
If it was Littlefinger setting her up. I mean, I think there's a couple of options. I can't tell. I'm kind of confused about what. And why aren't they utilizing Bran?
He knows everything. Just go ask him. And maybe because it's too easy. Maybe because it's like a simple thing. Be like, what's going on here? Because one of my complaints last week was Arya being that upset with Sansa. I'm like, does she really think that she was like pro Lannister? And then this episode, she made it out it made more sense to me only because she was like, yeah, like you could have done something. Like, oh, did they have like a knife to your throat? Like you said they threatened you, but like how serious was it? And then so I could sort of see her side of the story a little bit more, but then Sansa was like, "Oh, you were there? Like, how come you didn't stop it?"
Right.
And so it was like, that was a pretty good back and forth. You could see, I guess, why it was better explained anyway, why she was so, why Arya was so pissed.
Right. I mean, Sansa was on the stage or whatever it was with the king in her pretty dress when Ned was beheaded.
Yeah,
so
it was nuts.
I mean, yeah, it is nuts, and I can see how Arya would feel that way. And she knew Sansa before. She knew all that Sansa wanted was to be married, and I mean, Sansa lied for Joffrey before. I mean, that's how the whole how Lady died.
Yes. Oh yeah, exactly. Now, but like both have changed so much, and like they wouldn't really know. Like they could explain it to the other, but I think it's easier for Sansa to know that Arya's changed because like how skilled a fighter she is, whereas Arya can only listen to Sansa and doesn't really know like what Ramsay Bolton did to her and things like that.
Right, but I think so. Yeah, and plus Sansa found Arya's faces, so it's pretty.
She's like, what are these? Do you do cosplay? What is this? She's like, yeah, I like those. I like Halloween very much.
But I think, didn't Arya learn like in Bravos at that house, like at the temple, that how to sort of tell who's lying or kind of tell somebody's motives? I mean, that's what the whole scene with Sansa, and she's like, I think Sansa is kind of conflicted because I think Sansa does think maybe she would be a better ruler than Jon, or Jon left her with these things. And I do think Arya is telling her, remember who you are. You're a Stark. I'm not your enemy, and Jon's not your enemy, and you better figure that out.
Yeah, like that was a cool scene too. And she's like, let's play a game. And Sansa's like, I don't want to play a game, especially with you. Good God. So that was really good. Now, the next episode, the final episode of the season, is titled The Dragon and the Wolf.
Oh, God, I can't wait. I mean, there's a lot of promise in that title. I mean, it's on.
There is. And it's 80 minutes, which is good, too. So it's really like an episode and a half. Yeah. So that helps. And they did like a little teaser. I don't like to see too much anyway, but they did like a little teaser for next week. And Jon's talking about, the only real war is right here or whatever. And so, I don't know. But I just think a meeting between Daenerys and Cersei will be insane.
It'll be insane. Oh, what do you make of, what do you make of the note that Sansa got from the Raven? Do you think that, why would they invite her if Jon Snow was already on his way to King's Landing?
Or do you think Littlefinger made it up?
There's something that fell off about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Something's amiss. Or they're trying to get like the meeting of the mind. It's almost like a truth right now, right? Like they want, like, let's go fight the White Walkers and then come back and deal with this. But Cersei's going to lay a trap, or someone. There's going to be mouse traps everywhere.
So
I don't know
who is going to be at King's Landing next week.
Everybody but Sansa and I wonder if Arya will even go down. She probably won't.
No, because I think they've got something going on back there.
They got to figure out all of that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. And we didn't see Sam last episode, so I don't know. Samwell Tarly.
No. Well, so then this is where we get back to the time thing, right? Old Town it's going to take him like 2 episodes to get from Old Town to, is he going to King's Landing, or is he going to Winterfell, or where is he headed?
I don't know.
But if it takes him like 2 episodes to get from Old Town to King's Landing.
And then I know he didn't like get along with his dad all that great, but what do you think he's going to think of his buddy John's girlfriend having burned his dad and brother alive?
I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult. I also wonder if that's going to kind of because Dany right now, it seems like Daenerys is fighting these two sides. She wants to, quote, break the wheel, but she's also got a little bit of Mad King in her. So you see she's kind of conflicted and you don't know which way she's going to go. Maybe when she sees how devastated Samwell is and what a good person he's been, then maybe she feels bad and realizes like there are consequences to these things that go beyond just sort of vengeance or power.
Crazy. All right. Do you have any predictions for next week?
Well, so do you think that the reference to the lion and the wolf is
the dragon and the wolf?
Oh, the dragon and the wolf. Do you think that is a reference to Jon Snow and Daenerys, or Lyanna and Rhaegar?
I think it's going to be Jon's. Well, maybe I guess both in a way, but I think
both, right?
I think it's going to be Jon's parents, and maybe we get like a flashback to that.
So you think we figure that out next week?
Yes.
You don't think they make us wait till next season?
No. But I am with you on the White Walker thing won't be resolved this week. It really shouldn't, because that is... I mean, those are the two main storylines in the entire show. Is like who's sitting on the throne of King's Landing, and like what are you going to do with all these zombies? Like that's the two stories since episode 1. Right. So I think that'll carry into next year for sure.
And but you think they'll wrap up like the White Walker situation first, and then figure out who's on the throne?
Yeah, probably, because the person on the throne is always going to change. Obviously, like whoever gets it. Like I think Daenerys will get on there. I think she's going to lose her mind. Like someone's gonna have to kill her, like that's really close to her, and then somebody else will be in power, and then people are gonna hate that person. Like, and you cannot have a happy ending in this show.
No, I mean I hope not. I mean it's just, I mean I want one, but I also want it to.
But that'd be dumb. Yeah.
What do you think about her? Do you think she's gonna get pregnant? Do you think Jon Snow's gonna get her pregnant?
Yeah, probably that. Just because I would have said no, and I would have been like, no, she's not. But like, you can't keep talking about it. Like they just. Like we were saying, it was incessant with like, well, I can't have children, and like, these are my children. And you're like, okay, whatever.
Right, and then, or even like Jorah Mormont saying to Jon, "Give this sword to your children."
Yeah.
I think that was kind of him being like, "You need to marry Daenerys.
You can be a dad too.
You can be a dad too." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then there was another reference to I forget. It was like Jorah and like another guy in like that crew said something about Jon Snow, I think, being a dad, or like their conversations with Jon Snow's dad and all, or who they thought is his dad. So
right.
Yeah, they'll tie up some loose ends, but then there's obviously going to be like some cliffhangers just because they got another whole. Is it only 6 episodes or is it still 7? It's shorter than 10. I know in the final season.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. I mean, and we're gonna have to wait a year and a half.
I know. You have to rewatch this one, I guess, over and again.
Over and again.
All right, that'll do it. Thanks so much, Nicole.
All right, thank you.
All right.